Here we are. We are live. Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me? With that being said, let's just get right into it. Hello everybody, my name is Admiral Redbeard, or you can call me Ryan, and welcome to my brand new Unnamed Gaming News Show. A show that we stream on Fridays, release on Sundays for stuff you probably heard on Monday. Let me give you kind of a rundown of how this is going to go. I have accumulated some news stories that I have found most interesting, or at least just interesting enough to talk about over the next, hopefully, hour. What we're going to do with that is I'm just going to go off and give credit where credit's due from these articles that are listed, and maybe we might even have some people pop in and give their opinions on it as the show goes on. So, with that, I am echoing like a son of a bitch, so hold on a second here, folks. Let me just make sure that... Do I do that? Let me do... There we go. Nope. Okay. I'm just going to have to deal with the echo. That's fine. All right, guys. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about here, the first article that I have up comes from Eurogamer. This was published last week, so some of these come in to be like maybe the week before, just because I didn't do this last week like I wanted to, because of all the stuff that was going on, and I didn't feel like it was necessarily the time to be talking about gaming news necessarily. But this is the first one. Tony Hawk confirms that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 was planned until its developer was absorbed into Blizzard. This comes from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer. Legendary skater Tony Hawk has revealed that there were plans to follow up the well-received Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake with a similar launch for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. However, these plans were scuppered, is the word that they use, when Activision merged developer Vicarious Visions into Blizzard. I guess Tony Hawk himself was on a Twitch live stream with a fan, and he was saying, that was the plan, Hawk said, referring to a potential THPS 3+4. Even up until the release date of 1 and 2, we were going to do 3 and 4, and then Vicarious got kind of absorbed, and they were looking for other developers. Without reading the entirety of the article, basically it came down to the Vicarious Visions went and was taken into Blizzard and Activision to work on COD, to work on more Call of Duty as like background developers, or not necessarily background developers, but like helping out with those. And then they, then with that, they, I lost my train of thought. They basically were put into... They were looking for other developers, essentially. And they were... Wow, I totally spaced out. They were looking for other developers to work on 3 and 4, but they couldn't find anybody good enough to do it like they did the first one. Because where is it? They had that listed in... because Vicarious Visions, they worked on things like Guitar Hero and Skylanders. They also worked a little bit on Destiny 2 and helped them out with that. They also did the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogies, so that's pretty exciting. But they don't really exist anymore, and I know that some of the developers left and are doing their own thing now, and it's generally heartbreaking for the fact that, like, I didn't get a chance to play Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remake. I played the originals, like, you wouldn't believe. Like, they were just crazy good, and, I mean, that was, like, growing up to me, and I still mean to get to them, but... 3 and 4 were definitely like, I mean, they learned every single time that they made them, and they were just so much fun. Apparently, they can even run at 120 frames a second, which is awesome. But it's kind of heartbreaking when companies like Blizzard or Activision, Blizzard/Activision puts things together like that, and it just doesn't really work out. And I really hope that with the acquisition that Microsoft has done with Blizzard Activision, whenever that does go through, that they're able to maybe grab those people who worked on it and be like, look, people want more Tony Hawk. That's kind of what they want. Maybe we'll just get a brand new game, because like the newer games that they made were never necessarily the best, but I know that they were good enough that they kept making them, and Tony Hawk's name is still synonymous with everything when it comes to skateboarding games. Maybe we'll just get a brand new game. Sorry, I was checking my audio on there because I don't have anybody telling me if it's any good. But anyway, that's basically all on Tony Hawk. Yeah, just kind of disappointing to hear when stuff like that happens. I mean, you hear about this. I think it's Toys for Bob, I think is what the other developer that got absorbed as well. I can't remember off the top of my head what they worked on. But Activision Blizzard did that. Or I'm going to say Activision mostly. I know that they're one company, but they did that. They've done that a lot when it's come to most of their studios because they just wanted to be Activision wanted to be a Call of Duty studio. And, you know, I'm not ripping on people who like Call of Duty, but it's just like, why do we need all these amazing developers working on one type of game? Anyway, let's move on from Tony Hawk because the first couple that I have are pretty quick ones here. So the next one here I got from a website called Rock Paper Shotgun, PC gaming since 1873. That makes total sense. This one's a really quick one. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the game Raft. But Raft set sail out of early access after 4 years with a huge update, which is awesome. I used to watch Achievement Hunter play Raft like crazy. I've watched Markiplier, Jacksepticeye play it. It's basically like one of those great like survival games similar to like The Forest or even Minecraft in a sense where you build and you craft and you're just drifting on this open ocean world trying to survive and figure out the story. But, you know, Raft debuted as a pay-what-you-want prototype doodad. This is straight from the article in December 2016. This was by Alice O'Connor. And even then, it was fun. A formal Steam early access launch followed in May 2018, and it was fun then too. John Walker said at the time, once it's filled with a dozen more features, this will be one of the best survival me-doos out there. Love the wording in this article. The developers Redbeard Interactive had added features aplenty since then. The launch update alone is huge. It adds the end of the story, a rewriting of the old story with voice acting for notes, sunken towers that failed to save the rich, an icy land with a remote research back, a lovely land of geodesic domes, new foes in the form of anglerfish, bitey beetles, polar bears, hyenas, and more. New playable characters, automated trading posts, and new devices, including a juicer, electric grill, yada, 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 more. They say more. So there's a 50% off launch discount, bringing the price down, but it coming out of early access, 4 years in early access. That's crazy. But there's also such a big benefit of those early access games. I mean, Subnautica was one of those huge early access games that just got such renown with so many different YouTubers and Twitch streamers out there for the longest time. And it's still renowned as one of the most, I mean, I've watched that game several times. I've played it myself, even on my YouTube channel, but not my type of game. But this is super exciting, and I really hope that with it now coming out of early access with updates, I hope that we can see like a PlayStation, Xbox release for something like that. That would be fantastic, or maybe even the Steam Deck, which we'll talk about later. So there was that. All right, awesome. So let's move on to my... Oh no, did I just lose my... I lost my next story. Hold on a second. I gotta pull it up. Damn it. Oh, I am winging it, people, for whoever is out there. Where is my shit? Okay. Here we go. This was the one, I think. Oh, I lost 2 of them. Okay, hold on. Oh, this is fine. This is just fine. Okay. Next one here. Okay, this next one comes from IGN, which I get a lot of my articles from, but just because I followed IGN for like 20 years at this point. So Sony, or PlayStation specifically, is going to skip Gamescom 2022 this year. They grow a joining list of publishers not attending. This comes from Billy Givens over at IGN. Sony has announced a decision to skip Gamescom 2022, adding PlayStation to the expanding list of publishers that won't be making an appearance at the popular annual convention in Cologne, Germany. In a statement to the German publication Games Worthscraft, Sony revealed that it wouldn't be attending Gamescom this year, while also confirming that there wouldn't be any PlayStation-based announcements during Jeff Keighley's opening night live stream. So, I mean, they just had their State of Play at the beginning of the summer here, where they announced, showed trailers for Resident Evil 4 Remake and Final Fantasy 16, Street Fighter 6. There's still talks that God of War Ragnarok is coming this year, but we'll talk about that again a little bit later. But PlayStation skipping Gamescom isn't as much of a surprise to me. They haven't really been a big presence with these bigger things over the past couple of years. And I mean, for good reason. They decided to kind of do their own thing and launch their announcements when they want to, which is really good. And I feel like it works a lot better. I mean, we saw that, E3 is not something that a lot of publishers want to go to. Also, I mean, in general, I don't know if you know how expensive it is for them to be a part of something like that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to put together these demos and all this for games when I just want to see what they're working on. I just want them to be able to get the games out and not worry about demoing or anything like that. Like, show us when the stuff is ready. But they used to do a thing called PSX there at Gamescom that was always super exciting. They always had a lot of great reveals and shows, and I get really hyped for events like that. But them not being there doesn't surprise me. I know that there's a lot of other developers that aren't planning to go there, but they also don't have anything, like Sony doesn't have anything like big right now, like even like announced besides the potential of God of War coming out this year still. But with all the other games that they've announced, whether they're third party or first party, they're coming later. So I couldn't imagine beyond a God of War reveal what would be there for them to showcase. I'm trying to pull it up to see what other developers have pulled out. Developers out of Gamescom. I can spell. To see if there's any other latest company. Let's see. Looks like the only notable one that they're talking about right now is Sony. Oh, no, here we go. So it looks like Gamescom also, the organizers claim that over 250 companies will attend this year's event, but at the time of writing, only a handful of the major publishers, including Bandai Namco, THQ Nordic, and Koch Media, have publicly confirmed. Again, it's just like they're doing a hybrid event. As much as I enjoy these events type things, it's just let people do their own thing at this point. With Jeff Keighley coming out with things like Summer Games Fest, and even though that's like an event that he puts together, I still feel like it's more of a, here's the summer event that we're just calling it that, and I have my big event, and then you guys do your own subsequent things after the fact, and let's just get more, like you guys doing your own thing, and tell us what you want us to see, instead of just randomly dropping a trailer or, even Capcom does their own thing, and they did after they announced Resident Evil 4 Remake, and they did their own little showcase for the weekend, and they did like almost nothing with it. You saw a little bit of extra footage. They talked mostly about Monster Hunter Rise. I won't say it was disappointing, but it was kind of disappointing. So there's that. But yeah, that's Gamescom. When does Gamescom take place? It takes place in August, and it'll be the first in-person show since the pandemic. The article I just pulled up is from VGC News by Andy Robinson. So you guys can definitely take a look at that. It's not a very long article, but nothing else really crazy in that. But talking on those, because there's so many gaming events that we used to do, and I won't say we, but that are out there, because it basically all starts with like an E3 event, and you have that E3 or Summer Games Fest that takes place, and then you go from there, and then everybody does their own little things here and there. Then you get all the way to Gamescom, and then you get to the end of the year where you have the Game Awards, which is always huge. And Game Awards isn't necessarily about the awards that they talk about. It's more for the reveals, because they've always done such a great job of showing us some of the coolest video games of the Game Awards. And so you got to kind of decide, like, where do you hold off? When do you show? When is it most exciting? Because if you announce something too early, people can get extremely disappointed when it comes to not getting the release. Another thing that we will definitely talk about later. And again, if any of you out there are listening and have some input on any of the stuff that I'm talking about, please reach out, because I would love to invite anybody to the show to talk about it at certain points. So for now, we're going to move on to the next article that I have. This next one comes from VG247. It sure looks like Sucker Punch is hiring for a Ghost of Tsushima 2. This comes from Dom Peplet. I hope I said that right. Per two job ads on Sucker Punch's website, one asking for a technical combat designer and one asking for a senior combat designer, we may have some preliminary details of what the studio is looking for to achieve with its next title. The job ad both states a desire for staffers' experience with melee combat and stealth as well as experience working in open world scenarios. Given that the previous game from the studio featured all of those elements, it's not a stretch to think that this could feasibly be Ghost of Tsushima 2. Obviously, Sucker Punch is going to be working on a Ghost 2. If you hadn't got a chance to play the first Ghost, it was definitely one of my favorite games that came out 2 years ago. It was, as much as it had elements of other games that I've played, it's just the story, the world that they built, the way they interpreted every little thing involved was just fantastic. I got a little bit of echo on my mic. Thank you for somebody finally saying something, and I don't know how to fix that. Hold on a second. Because everything is coming through exactly the way I want it to, but I don't know if I can fix the echo right now, because nothing wants to work for me the way, and I can't hear what I sound like. Is that really what it is? Is that the echo? Son of a bitch. Well, hopefully it's fixed there. Anyway, I don't know if anybody has ever played Ghost of Tsushima, but yeah, that game, if you're big into samurai, Kurosawa films, stuff like that, which I spent like an entire week just going nuts watching like every Kurosawa film I could before it came out, and it definitely bumped it up. The last thing that they do say, they're saying, of course, there's always the chance this could be something else, a new IP perhaps, or even a follow-up to the Sly Cooper or Infamous series. At the time of this writing, nothing has been confirmed by either Sony or the developer itself, so we'll just have to wait and see what these jobs end up being for. So, I mean, it's definitely going to, I really think it's just going to be Ghost 2. I don't feel like Sucker Punch is in I won't say a position to not just go straight for another type of IP, which wouldn't be a bad idea for them. But at the same time, sorry, I'm sending myself 2 more articles that I had earlier as well that I want to talk about. But Ghost was just so good, and it was extremely popular. They also came out with one of the most fun multiplayers I've played in a long time, which was Legends, where you basically just got the same type of combat elements in a 4-player co-op type situation, and it was so fantastic. Definitely one of my favorites. But that brings up with what they're talking about potentially being something else. This came out this morning, and this was from Game Informer, just to go off that if it is another IP or something else that they've worked on. This is from Wesley LeBlanc from Game Informer. Sucker Punch says it is not working on Infamous or Sly Cooper, and no other studio is either. The news comes from a new blog post highlighting Sucker Punch's 25th anniversary. Since opening its doors more than 20 years ago, the studio has worked on Rocket, Robot on Wheels, the popular Sly Cooper platformer series, the superpowered Infamous series, and of course, Ghost of Tsushima. In this blog post, though, the studio clarifies some things amidst rumors of a Sly Cooper 5 and an Infamous remake. And I'll read directly from this here as well. As our games continue to grow in scale and complexity, they require the full attention of our studio, the blog post reads. With our focus on our current project, we have no plans to revisit Infamous or Sly Cooper right now, and no other studio is currently working on projects related to those franchises either. These characters are very special and near and dear to our hearts, so while we'd never say never to reopening those doors down the road, for now there are no Infamous or Sly Cooper games in development. That's both awesome and disappointing, and I say awesome because, again, Ghost was such a huge success for them, and I know that like the last games that they made were, I mean, they were good. Like, I loved Infamous Second Son. Definitely didn't get me the hype that I had on like Infamous 1 and 2, which are 2 of my favorite games. So I'm going to turn down my lights a little bit here. I'm a little blown out, I'm noticing. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Because like Infamous 1 and 2 was like, I mean, everybody was playing it around me, and it was fantastic to see people Like they had the systems, you know, that games don't really do too many more times. You have the good and the evil, or, you know, is it bad, or is it, you know, or is it good, or is it slightly not so good? But well, Infamous definitely went either good or bad, and it changed the way that the story went as well, which is something that I wish would be brought back in a lot of video games. Sly Cooper I never played myself. I know that they're hugely popular, and you will definitely see those come back in some form. Sly Cooper for sure, and I believe that at some point you're going to see another developer work with Sucker Punch to make something like that, which is totally awesome. Because, I mean, it's such a popular franchise. I mean, these games end up coming back. We're still in the age of nostalgia when it comes to that, and I say that as a point of a lot of these games that, you know, you're like, it might be dead. They bring it back for God's sakes, Medieval got a remake, and it was fantastic. Not saying that that's not like a very popular game from back in the day by any means, but that was one that I wouldn't have thought would have gotten a remake. And with what things like Resident Evil 2 has done, Resident Evil 3 remake, Final Fantasy 7 remake, like, there is such a big opportunity for a lot of these games to come back, and it doesn't need to be the original people who made it. A lot of those people who worked on these games over the past 24 years probably either work for different studios or don't work in games anymore. The last thing that this article here says, Sucker Punch says it will eventually need to sunset the servers. Oh, they're talking about... Oh, sorry, I skipped a little bit. They're talking about the servers for Infamous 2. We want to keep them running as long as possible for players who are stacked active. Sucker Punch... Oh, my God. Sucker Punch is also working on getting Infamous Second Son's Cole's Legacy DLC, previously only available as part of the game's Collect Edition, on the PlayStation Store in all territories. I never got to play that one, so that would be very, very awesome to see. So... what do you guys think about that? Anybody here a Sly Cooper or Infamous fan? Did you guys play Ghost of Tsushima at all? Let me know, because, you know, I want to have a dialogue with all you while I do this show. So if you guys have any opinions, please share them. Otherwise, you can, if you are a mutual friend of mine, and I know you personally, you can pop into my Discord, which is open, and we can have an open chat about any of these topics that I'm going over in this show at any time. Just send me a DM, and we will go from there. Let's see here. So that's all about Sucker Punch and Ghost of Tsushima. Again, I mean, getting ready for a Ghost 2, I'm sure they're already working on it. They stopped doing any patches back in April for it, so yeah. But so let's move on to my next story, and this one is also a two-parter. I have to pull up something else really quick. That I need. Let's see. This is the one I wanted, so I'm going to pull that up as well. So this next one is more talking about a newer game coming out. There's two reasons why I want to talk about this, and Josh, since you're out there, I might, if you want, you might be able to pop in for this one in a second. But have you guys seen Harvestella? Is a Final Fantasy meets Stardew Valley, and it looks amazing. Maybe I could pull up a trailer to watch with you guys here really quick. So bear with me. Let me see if I can do this really. All right. I'm going to pull up this really quick, and we're going to watch this trailer together because this looks fantastic. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I'm getting no audio from that at all.
A village adorned with the vibrant colors of the changing seasons.
Okay, so I'll figure out the audio situation on that part of it a little later, I guess. But again, just I wanted to bring this up because, like, farming type, you can hear the audio, but I can't. Oh, then hold on a second.
Water crops and gather a bountiful harvest. Collect crafting materials and ingredients for cooking by setting out on adventures. Travel the world and get to know the people who live in the neighboring towns and villages. Life is peaceful and time
That's fine. I wasn't really planning on doing too many of these anyway, but that's just a quick thing that I wanted to show you. The biggest reason I wanted to talk about this was as awesome and fun as that looks. Here, let's just read it. Harvestella introduces the twist with such blunt honesty that I couldn't help but laugh, watching as one of the peaceful town becomes drenched in crimson red and screaming citizens instead of the otherwise wholesome picture it had painted up until that point. It's a life simulator. I mean, like, it literally looks like Stardew Valley mixed with anything Final Fantasy, which I'm all for because I love the aesthetic of something like that, very anime-esque. But, and then again, Josh, this, if you wanted to pop up on Discord, if you could, is the reason that I was bringing this up. They had their letter from the producer live stream today, and which revealed its upcoming patch in 6.2 for Final Fantasy 14, which they are releasing. They're basically releasing their version of like Stardew Valley in Final Fantasy 14, which I think is just fucking awesome. So that was a reason why I thought it was very cool that like Harvestella was like, okay, and then I was like, wait a minute, didn't I already hear about something like this a while back? And that was just, and I could have sworn it was something different, which it was. Then they announced Harvestella, and then they announced this, and I know they had announced it before for Final Fantasy 14 players that they were doing that. This is not the greatest article. So I can read the live letter here. Yeah, here we go. From PC Games. Critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV is many things to people, and now players can escape to their own Animal Crossing style island getaway with the upcoming Final Fantasy XIV Island Sanctuary, which was detailed in the live letter today. In addition, game director Naoki Yoshida and community producer Toshiro Murochi expanded on the much upcoming details. So, Island Sanctuary is an individual island that each player gets for themselves. It is handled largely separately from the rest of the game with its own materials, currency, and inventory, which are all handled independently so as to not clutter up players' normal inventories. You can grow crops, cultivate seeds, care for creatures, and develop and decorate your island to your heart's content. Each island is unique to you, and the progression is designed for solo play, but players will be able to invite friends and free company members to visit their island. That is really cool. I mean, like, Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of really fun elements like that, where it just gives you such a great sim environment to it. And adding something like that, that's so hugely popular. Animal Crossing is huge. Harvestella is probably going to do great. The people who are already playing Final Fantasy XIV or have ever just wanted to do something similar to that in their game with their character is going to make it incredibly fun, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and all that. And see what's going on. So, Josh, did you have anything to say on that? Are you excited for it? Let me know, man. I'm just reading this here a little bit again because there's a whole lot more that they talk about in the live letter, and I know that they come out with things and patches and updates all the time. So I'm not going to go over every single one of them. I just wanted the connection between the two stories that I had were very interesting to me. Okay, well. Let's move on to the next story here. And again, if anybody ever wants to pop in really quick, again, if you're a mutual friend of mine, you can pop in at any time. Just DM me on Discord. All right, here we go. Hold on. Let's do this. Make sure this is working here. So I can't get the video to work for some reason here, Josh.
That's fine.
But as we were talking here, or as I was talking, tell me what you think about what's going on with FF14.
I mean, FF14 has so many features. The game is choked with a sinful amount of extra features. Like, you can play through the main story and not have touched like 80% of the game.
Yeah,
like, I just recently started doing Golden Saucer stuff because they have a fully fleshed out card game with Triple Triad. Granted, that game was created for Final Fantasy VIII, but like you can play Mahjong in this game, and it's probably like the most reliable way to play Mahjong online.
Yeah.
There's all the crazy side quests. Like they also announced with this last live letter that the relic weapons, which is another thing, like you can get a fancy cool weapon has a real unique skin and all this stuff, and you can upgrade it as the expansion goes on. And most of them look really cool. I barely ever touch any of that stuff.
Are you going to touch this new mode like at all? Like, were you an Animal Crossing fan, and does this excite you to be like a part of like your character that you've built?
No. I'm not a big Animal Crossing Harvest Moon kind of person, but like the fact that it exists is really interesting because like I played the game for several years without even touching crafting.
Sure.
And now I'm an Omnicrafter. So who knows? Maybe I will touch it.
And one day
I will like get involved and like really serious about it and be like, all right, oh shit, I gotta go like harvest my pumpkins.
Yeah. That's the best reaction I think I could have had.
Because like when you're like my main draw is like I like playing the story and I like raiding.
Right.
But once you like raided your heart out and you've got your orange parses, you've got the best in slot gear, it's like what do you do? Well, if you're bored, you can go and see a shitload of all the other features that they have. Like I started doing some of the tribe quests yesterday because we didn't have a raid that night.
Sure.
And like a lot of them have like fun mini games and all sorts of like crazy nonsense you can explore. So like the game has so much just like depth and they just announced that the relic quests for the new weapons are going to be tied to the Manderville quest line, which I was doing anyway.
Yeah.
And those are zany hijinks side stories that have no bearing on the plot at all. They're just bonus content to do, although now they're not quite as bonus if you want to do your relic weapon, but
yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff like that in this game. The game is huge.
Well, and as you know, I'm a very casual player of it, still sitting in Stormblood, still making my way through. And when I heard this, it was really exciting. And I only say that also not as a fan of things like Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing. Like I've played them, I just kind of go, all right. But the fact that it's there and that there's so much type of content in a game like this, I can't wait to see what they come up with next. Like, where's Final Fantasy XIV Mario Kart?
You say that, but
does it already exist?
There's like chocobo racing.
Well, I mean, I guess yeah, chocobo racing is involved, but yeah, I mean it's super exciting to see, and I just love stuff like that. Well, Josh, I don't want to lean too much on that because that's a very quick thing, but I did actually want to get your opinion on one more story, and I'm going to read it here real quick. Just because I know that you're a PC gamer, so I definitely have a different opinion from you here. This next article that I'm bringing up is from Game Informer. And this says, Steam Deck production doubling next week as Q3 reservations start to be fulfilled. This is by John Carson, and I'll read a little bit here. Valve's handheld PC and most successful Steam machine to date is wrapping up its Q2 2022. Reservation fulfillment today, and we'll be moving on to Q3 pre-orders starting next week. Pre-orders, not P-orders, pre-orders. The device will also be manufactured at an increased pace, blah, 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 blah. They tweeted today from its Steam Deck account. I'll just go right to that. Hello! This is from Steam Deck on Twitter. Some great news on the production front. We just sent the last batch of Q2 emails. We'll start sending Q3 reservation emails on the 30th. Production has picked up, and after today, we'll be shipping more than double the number of Steam Decks every week. Josh, Vosh the Stampede, are you getting a Steam Deck, and does this excite you?
I am not getting a Steam Deck, but I do think it's good news. Like I spent most of my time at my desk, working at my desk, playing games on my desktop, and like so I don't really have a lot of occasions to have to just like sit on a couch because I have a very comfy chair.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, like I know a couple of people who ordered Steam Decks and then forgot about it because it took so long for them to actually. And then now they're probably going to be getting emails saying like, "Oh yeah, that's right, I did pay for this."
Yeah, within like the next couple of weeks, probably.
Yeah. So yeah, I do hope that works out. Like I have my Switch at my desk, but I barely play it because like I would just play whatever I want on my PC anyway.
Yeah, I think the Switch is kind of not even just because the Steam Deck is out now, but just. The appeal of playing on my Switch anymore has just diminished because most of the new games that they're releasing are something that I can get on higher form platforms. So that's part of the
I mean,
reason. Go ahead.
They are releasing the Persona games for Switch, which I think is a good move because those are
I
games
know!
that you can sit down on a couch and play, or sit in the car and play.
Well, right, but I guess the only thing, and with Persona, I mean, I've only played like maybe 5 hours of Persona 5, and I want to get into them really bad. But I can play, and maybe this is just a me thing, but the remote play feature from like the PlayStation 5 or 4 to my phone with my Backbone controller works so well that I can already do that. And that's honestly the only reason that a Steam Deck appeals to me, is more not necessarily the higher fidelity, but the frame rate. If it can actually hit 60 handheld, that's a game changer.
Yeah, I always put frame rate over graphical fidelity.
Of course.
Any day of the week.
Of course.
Like, I don't care how pretty the pixels are. If it's turning into a screenshot, a Fiesta, a slideshow. But yeah, like I am glad that they're like finally working through all this, because I know that like COVID hit the supply chain like a truck.
Yeah.
So like I just got some stuff that like I had, like some Kickstarter stuff that I had backed like a year and a half ago. Like I got it like last week because they had to, COVID just ground everything production-wise to a halt. But hey, I finally got it, and I was happy. I was
that's good.
Because I forgot I had backed it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah, I do that all the time with like anything I do on Kickstarter. All right, Josh. Well, I think that's all I have for that. Thank you for joining me on my very first episode. I think that's all I got for you right now, man, because I want to always leave this open for anybody else. But thanks for popping in.
Yeah, no problem.
See you, man.
See ya.
All right. So with that, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna get rid of some of my tabs here, and I'm gonna move on to the next story. Where did you go? Okay, you're right here. Okay, so the next story here comes from, this is GameSpot.com by Eddie McCooch. Hope I said that right. Skull and Bones. Anybody remember Skull and Bones? Could release in November, leak says. It appears Ubisoft's long in development pirate game Skull and Bones now has a release date, or at least a rumored release date. Details from a supposed Xbox Store listing point to a November 8th launch. The listings discovered by @Lumina Italia on Twitter also revealed that, like basically every other Ubisoft game, Skull and Bones will have a variety of extra content. It's basically just talks about like the other DLC that will come out with it if you get like the collector's edition, yada yada yada. So I don't know if anybody of you remember Skull and Bones. It was first announced at E3 2017 as basically like the successor to the Black Flag pirate combat game. So like you had the pirate ship combat in Black Flag Assassin's Creed, and they finally were making a full game based out of it. But originally in 2017, when you saw it, it looked more like a live service, like For Honor type game, if you've seen that, where you basically were just a ship and you would go out with a couple of friends in like a big open arena of water, and you would fight against them in those ships. Now, I watched the leak a while back because, well, it was like a full press leak, and it just had like bad audio quality, so I'm guessing they were touching that up. But when it came to that, it was, it looks really good, because the one thing about Skull and Bones that I think that they really needed to do, and I'm sure that's why they went back to the drawing board on a lot of it, was Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves just kind of came out, and it did exactly what you needed to do for a pirate game, and it's a live service game. It's got a lot of free content, free updates. It's super fun. I love Sea of Thieves. I would love to play more of it. I just never sit down to do any of that. But Skull and Bones, like, this is what Ubisoft needed to do, honestly. They needed to release this in like 2017. It needed to be out like 3 years after Black Flag, because that type of combat and all that was one of the biggest reasons why Black Flag was such a popular, it was a popular Assassin's Creed game, and I loved it for the Assassin's Creed elements, but that ship combat was just so well done and so put together. So I'm not going to play the leak trailer, because we'll wait for them to actually release it. But it's opening up for, like, there's off-ship exploration, there's on ship, you can customize, there's a lot going on in that I'm super excited for, and it looks way better than what it did. Like, I thought it looked good when it came originally, and I was like, this is a game that I will play for a couple of days. Now I'm hoping that it's a game that I play for quite some time, whether it's multiplayer, and I hope they have single player elements to it as well, which is what I want out of an Ubisoft game, because like there's a lot of bloat in them, and as much as I enjoy them, and I've played every Assassin's Creed game, and I will till the day I die, it's a very exciting thing to see finally get announced, because it's been so long. I signed up for a beta for it in 2017. Never got an email for it. My friend and I both did it, and we were just wanted to try it, and we never got an email back to even try that beta. So that's how quickly they were like, we got to go back to the drawing board and try this again. So we'll see what happens. The gameplay trailer that came out, that leaked, was really awesome. It looked fantastic. I can't wait to actually see it in like a high resolution, because it did not look good on my... It was a very low res on my phone, so we'll go from there. All right, so I only got 3 more stories here. 2 of them kind of go together, and then we'll be wrapping up for this week. Before I get into the last one that we're going to talk about, which might be a little bit of a lengthier one, I don't know if how many of you guys follow, games media on Twitter by any means, but this was one of the funniest fucking things. So I'm pulling the article from IGN, but I saw this live because a lot of people were just trolling them. So yesterday EA tweeted, and they were doing that whole like meme joke about like they're a 10, but this and that. So yesterday, Electronic Arts, EA, tweeted out, they're a 10, but they only like playing single player games. Oh... The mostly negative 10,000 quote tweets and nearly 9,000 replies prompted EA itself to acknowledge the blunder. 4 hours after the original post, the company tweeted, "Roast well deserved. We'll take this L because playing single player games actually makes them an 11." So they tried to double back a little bit, but oh man, I just could not believe that they actually did this. I'm pulling up the tweet here because I want to look at some of these, because there's some big influence out there, and I couldn't believe that EA, like, what a fucking stupid tweet. Like the very first one, like the first person on here who goes back at them was Jacksepticeye. They're a 10, but thought this tweet was a good idea. And you go down, and it's just crazy to see some of the quote tweets were good. Like people like Alana Pierce and Raul Cowley, I believe, made a comment on it. Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kind of Funny Games was tweeting about it. It just wow. So that one was just very fun because like one of my favorite ones, I can't remember who tweeted it out. It might have been Tamar Hussein from GameSpot.com. He was just like, Elden Ring sales say otherwise. Oh, no, I think that was actually Lauren Sontag who did it. Most of you guys probably don't know who these people I'm talking about are, but yeah, I mean, Elden Ring alone. And then somebody replied with like the top 10 Steam games, and they were all single-player games, which was awesome. Okay, I wanted to throw that one in for a little lighthearted stuff because, sorry, fuck EA. Like, they just... Stop making poor decisions with video games, okay? Just stop it. Just stop it. I can see why somebody wanted to buy you, or you were trying to get bought. Okay, so we're going to move on to my last story. It's a 2-part story that we're going to do, and then that will be it for this week, guys. So... I'm pulling the article again from IGN because it was the first one that popped up. But God of War director urges patience as fans wait for Ragnarok news. Ragnarok news. So Cory Barlog has followed up his original post, which was after a fan asked to just go on and tell us that Ragnarok is delayed. The Sony Santa Monica creative director replied, "Because it's not." His first tweet was, "Dear all, if it were up to me, I would share all the information when I know about it, but it is not up to me. So please, be patient. I promise things will be shared at the earliest possible moment they can be. We make games for you. We get to make games because of you. And then the backlash started. And then the drama started. And things just kind of went off the rails. This is why this is a two-part story, because the next one, this time I'm pulling from Push Square. God of War fans harassing Sony Santa Monica employees with unsolicited dick pics in exchange for the release date. I'm going to read this whole thing. This article, it was made by Sammy Barker yesterday. God of War Ragnarok was allegedly due to be dated today, which was yesterday, June 30th. But Sony delayed the announcement for reasons we'll probably never publicly know. The likelihood is that it's down to logistics involving pre-orders, but that's pure speculation on our part. And anticipation reaches fever pitch, however, fans are taking their enthusiasm to disgusting new lows. Estelle Tigani, a cinematics producer on the sequel, noted on Twitter that she'd received harassment in the form of unsolicited penis pictures, which so-called fans were sending in exchange for more information on the game. To the people who are doing this, she asked, when did that ever work for you? It's certainly unsavory behavior. Sony Santa Monica's Cory Barlog has since weighed in on the subject. I cannot believe I have to say this, but don't fucking send dick pics to anyone on this team or anyone in this industry for that matter. They're busting their ass to make something for you to enjoy. Show some fucking respect. And just like Sammy Barker here, I couldn't have said it better myself. I can't get over the idea that my most anticipated game of the past couple years besides Final Fantasy VII Remake is God of War Ragnarok. I cannot wait for this game. I have played God of War 2018 5-6 times at this point. It's one of my few platinum trophies that I have actually done. And the fact that it is very possible that fans themselves have, they're ruining this. And what I mean by that, and I mean, it's not a new thing. Fucking toxic fans are the worst when it comes to this. But it's coming down to the idea that because these people are so impatient for just a fucking release date that we were supposed to get yesterday, it's possible that a whole post, a new trailer, whatever it may have been, was delayed because these people fucking suck. And that pisses me off more than anything. Let the game just come. They keep saying it's coming out this year. They keep saying it. They're not backing out on that. If it gets delayed to 2023, who cares? Who cares? Like, games need to get done, you know, like, you need to finish making something before you can give it to them, you know? Like, I'm not going to build something for you and only do it half of the way and tell you got to figure out the rest of whatever it is. If I'm building a table for you, I'm not going to give you 3 out of the 4 legs. So why the fuck would they do that? And the fact that people are harassing these people for it is insane to me. And honestly, the people who sent these pictures to this developer and are doing that, I hope you never get to fucking play God of War Ragnarok. I hope you never get to touch it. Because I don't feel like you deserve it at this point. I mean, I don't think anybody deserves these. I don't deserve it, but I'm waiting, and I will patiently wait for as long as it takes for them to give me the game that I want. So bad. And it's crazy to me to think. God of War Ragnarok is going to be outstanding when it comes out, and yet people do nothing but bitch and moan and complain about it every step of. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. Oh my god, I cannot believe that this happened. I don't know if my camera's working. I'm trying to get it back here really quick. It sucks to think that, well, my computer, I reset it last week. I did a full reinstall of Windows, and it still didn't fix it. It's still fucking broken, and I can't believe it. Oh, come on, camera. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. I'm at the end of the show, too, which is the most heartbreaking thing, but I don't know why this won't fucking work now. Come on. For fuck's sake. Nope, nope, nope. Come on. Come on. Oh, for God's sakes. I apologize for the end of the show being the way that it is, because that's not how I wanted this to end. But fortunately, I got through most of my show without any issues, but now I can't even get my camera to work. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming to my very first show. Hopefully I can do this again next week, but probably not if I'm going to be scared of... Oh, did I get the camera back? All right, I'm back. Oh my God. If I'm going to be scared of the crashings, that's why I haven't been streaming. And I thought I fixed it, so now I need to buy a whole new computer, and I don't want to do that. But this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I'm going to try to do it every Friday if I can, and just kind of go from there. But, I only plan on going for an hour. I had a lot of stories that I wanted to talk about, and we got through them all. We even had a nice little guest. Thank you, Josh, for showing up and being involved. Yeah, if you guys hit that follow button, otherwise you can always follow me on YouTube, where I'm going to try to release a video today as well. But that was it. That's the Unnamed Gaming Show. This is the first time I've ever done it, and I'm super excited, and I had a lot of fun doing it too. Hopefully we can get some more people involved next time we decide to do it. Hopefully it is next Friday, but we will see. So until next time, remember that whatever I call this show, which I got nothing in the bank up here of figuring out what it's called, but remember that this is a show that we're going to stream on Fridays, release on Sundays for stuff you probably heard about on Monday. Anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.